Welcome. Welkom. Wamkelekile. We welcome you today to this most auspicious event of commitment to a profession, to a life of service with humility and integrity. Sawubona, I see you. I see you who have struggled. I see you who have triumphed. I see you all through the long, hard 6 years that's culminated in today. Today's ceremony is not a graduation, so it is not the university conferring your degree on you. It is a much more serious and grave commitment to the rest of your life, to your profession. And the sequence of today is that we will start off with a short message from a previous dean. We're then going to move into a little bit of celebration with prize giving for those prize winners who are in this cohort, given that we aren't able to have a prize giving due to COVID this year. And then we will start with a number of video clips from some leading alumni, from some community members, and from traditional leaders who will be sharing with you some of the lessons that they wish you to take away from today's oath-taking ceremony. And then we will hand over to the Dean, who will give you a short message, and then will lead us through the oath. And as you will notice today, that unlike a graduation where your colleagues, members of faculty, they are sitting amongst you today. They have walked in with you today, and they too will be joining you collegially in taking the oath and recommitting ourselves to that oath yet again. So today is a welcoming to you all as colleagues, as members of the profession together, and we will be committing ourselves to that. And then at the end, we're going to ask you please to remain seated while the ushers escort you out row by row so that we retain our physical distancing in requirement of COVID protocols. All right. So before we start, let's just take a deep breath. This is an auspicious occasion. Let's just quiet our minds, be fully present with what we're doing today. Just a deep breath. Let's all just be here. I'm going to ask for the first clip from Professor Marion Jacobs.
I'm Marion Jacobs. I was the dean of this faculty until 2012. I am a public health pediatrician, and next year I will celebrate my 50th anniversary since my own graduation. At the moment, I'm doing a range of things, including serving as the co-chair of the Ministerial Advisory Committee for COVID. And in my spare time, I do other things like dancing the Jerusalema whenever I get a chance, and also being involved with both Artscape and Animal Welfare Society. Fellow graduates, colleagues that you are going to be very soon, as you're about to take your oath, perhaps you want to reflect on a few things. I think the first thing you want to think about is why you decided to pursue a career as a health professional. And then you would be failing if you didn't think about your journey, your very interesting journey in this Faculty of Health Sciences at UCT. So one of the first things that happened when some of you got here was the Fees Must Fall movement. And what did you learn from that? You probably learned that it's okay to raise your voice. You learned when you have to speak, and I hope you also learned when you need to keep quiet. The second big event was the tragic death of Bongani Mayosi. And that for you must have been a huge learning experience. The best part of it must have been the compassion that you felt for him and his family, for your for your colleagues, also for your teachers and the people who work in the faculty. And the third, of course, is this dreadful COVID that's hit you now in your final year as you're about to graduate. And there again, if you think back on PBL, which you probably didn't enjoy much, PBL taught you how to learn on your own and how to learn in teams. And that teams thing also came from you learning about your fellow students, learning about their challenges, their achievements, their lives outside of medicine, whether they're a star soccer player or a star Scrabble player, all of those things. And that must have been a wonderful experience. So as you reflect on your last few years in the faculty, you are now preparing to enter the world of work. And this is a huge step into a situation of power, where you will have the kind of power that's given to very few people. You'll have the power to listen to people's deepest secrets, the power to ask questions of them, the most intimate questions, the power to use your equipment, your drugs, your interventions, some of which may not be so pleasant for your patient. And you can make a choice whether you want to use this power that's given you as a health professional, or whether you in fact would prefer to be a healer that's caring, that's compassionate, a healer that understands the need to listen, a healer that's not scared to hold your patient's hand, to pick up a little baby, and to be just kind and normal, a kind, normal human being. And I think if you practice that kind of healing, you will go into the world that needs that sort of healing now more than ever before. And I'm convinced that you've been prepared for this. Your journey through the faculty, your learnings in this faculty, and your learnings in the world as you move from being a teenager into an older adolescent. So how can I wish you? I want to quote somebody for whom I have great respect, and that's Dr. Seuss. And he talks about, the places you'll go. So with apologies, I'm going to read what he says. He says, you're off to great places. You're off and away. You've brains in your head. You have shoes in your feet, feet in your shoes rather. You can steer yourself any way that you choose. But when you're alone, there's a very good chance in the night, in the woods, when you're all alone, that you'll meet the next thing that you'll meet will scare you out of your pants. Step with great care and great tact. Remember that life is a balancing act. So I want to leave you with that you must remember that you can't just focus on being in the woods and with your patients all the time. You must have a life, because having that life enables you to be a better person when you're caring for those whose health is in your hands. So congratulations, you're off and away.
And we thank Professor Jacobs for her wonderful wise words, as she always is. We're now going to have part of our mini prize giving. So we celebrate the prize winners in each cohort, and as you're aware, sadly we haven't been able to keep all of you together, but at least we've been able to have an in-person ceremony. And so this is the part of the prize giving of the part that is the celebration, and we're going to ask the prize winners to stand where they are and not to come down, and and the Dean will personally come to you to deliver your prize. All right. So the first prize, we'd like to ask Rendit Hoekstra to stand, please. Rendit has been awarded the Class Medal for Family Medicine and Palliative Medicine for best overall performance in those areas. Congratulations, Rendit. The next student we'd like to stand is Shwayita Msengana. Shweta, you have been awarded the Divisional Prize for the top student in forensic medicine. Congratulations. And we are particularly proud of Shweta. As one of our Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro program students, we are absolutely delighted that she has won the prize of the entire MBChB, including the Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro students. Congratulations. Thank you so much. All right, so that's the prizes for this cohort, and hearty congratulations, as we have not been able to have a prize giving. It just allows us the opportunity that you are here to offer those prizes and have some accolades from your colleagues. Prize winners, please join us outside for photographs after the ceremony. All right, so now we are going to hear a few more recorded inputs. As we have indicated, this is a solemn occasion. And we really want you to start thinking before you take the oath. As I have repeatedly reminded, there are very few occasions in our lives that we make a promise, a commitment, an oath, swear a vow, and today you're going to be doing that. So we ask you to just be present and listen to the recorded inputs that we have for you from alumni, from community members, and from traditional leaders. And we just ask that you just be present and listen in preparation for your oath-taking. Thank you.
So I remember when I took my oath, I was overwhelmed with a feeling of relief and accomplishment and pride. And the words made perfect sense, but it's only with experience that the words actually take some meaning and really come to life.
As you are taking this oath today, remember, oath is about empathy, professionalism, and care. If you've got those three, you are a winner. Also, oath is about humanity, responsibility of both provider and receiver.
On reflection, the very first line stands out to me, which is I pledge to serve. And so we always need to remember that we are in service of people, not of ourselves, not of money, not of status or societal stereotypes. And we need to serve with integrity and humility.
I really think it's important to actually reflect on the privilege that it is to be a health professional. So many people are trying to apply to get into one of the disciplines at UCT, and for me, you know, it's a massive privilege to actually be sitting here today, or for me to have earned my degree as a physiotherapist. And I think we always have to remember that is a privilege to actually be helping someone through a really difficult time, that it involves one of the most important aspects of their life, their health.
One of the commitments that you'll make is that of lifelong learning. The commitment to lifelong learning means using the current period that we're going through as an example, is that you see that there's a rapid change in new knowledge, new diseases, and new health challenges. And as a health professional, you must always be at the forefront of research, information, new technology, to be able to respond appropriately.
As a newcomer into the health system, you may often feel that you can't change much. As a group of interns, we were able to notice that one of our wards in a rural hospital really needed touch-ups. It was a children's ward that was quite plain, but we worked together with local businesses, with colleagues, to ensure that we transformed it into a child-friendly ward. This does illustrate that coming with new eyes, you would and are able to change things for the better within the health system.
Working with an underprivileged team and providing the coaches with skills or the athletes with skills to enhance their abilities is amazing. And I think that's the important thing within South Africa, is that yes, we might not have the resources, for every team might not be equal and every hospital might not be equal, but we have so much skill and knowledge as health professionals that it's so easy to actually teach another person.
As a health professional in South Africa, and given the inequalities in our societies, I think it's particularly important for health professionals to be mindful of those inequalities, to do their bits in terms of addressing those inequalities. And that will require us working not only across our disciplines in the health professions, but with other sectors, working intersectorally to make sure that we address the challenges of our societies in a comprehensive manner.
So the oath has guided my daily practice, and I noticed this in my second month of internship when one of the matrons came to me and asked which university do I come from. So I thought I did something wrong and said UCT. But what transpired actually has stuck with me for many months. So she noticed that there was something different in the way in which I interacted with the nurses, the porters, the patient, and she really wanted to compliment that. That was surprising because I thought I was doing what you should be doing, but she had noticed that as something extraordinary. So many of you will get into the service and think you're doing the normal, but that turns out to be the extraordinary because of the type of education you've received and the type of training that you've received.
And one needs to embrace the good times, but learn from the difficult times, and also look after yourselves amidst all of that, and recognize that you have immense power as a healthcare professional to be a voice for your patients, to uphold their human rights, to serve them, and as cliched as it may sound, to make the world a better place.
It is very important that the student must reflect on their work that they are doing within our communities, especially the marginalized community and vulnerable one. We need to hear the voices of our gogos, meaning our elderly people who are always standing in those queues at the clinic. We need to hear the voices of our own sisters who are domestic violence abuse. Go out there and be advocates for a change.
My message to students is to always remember what a resilient group they are. They are the group that saw the Fees Must Fall movement. They have just survived a pandemic. These are graduates who are going to be able to change the face of South Africa, the face of the health system in the country. And I think whenever it gets tough, every single graduate should remember that they have gone through the most and they will still survive.
I really do feel that these challenges have made the class more resilient, more mature, and more capable. And I really look forward to this new generation of more socially responsive and compassionate healthcare professionals.
To the class of 2020, you deserve a massive congratulations.
To you, I say that you've conquered, you've made it this far, and I know that South Africa is going to be a better place because of you. Go well and make us proud.
Congratulations on a remarkable achievement under extremely difficult circumstances. I have true confidence that you will be fantastic healthcare professionals for the communities that you work for. I wish you every joy and success as you embark on this noble and rewarding profession. Much love. God bless.
I would like to congratulate you for a journey well traveled. You have really surmounted many challenges, and we look forward to welcoming you into the health system.
A good luck for your future, and be the lamp wherever you go. Shine. Sithi isiXhosa, ndingantaka baba uvula amaphiko uwatweze, meaning fly eagle, fly higher and spread the wings. All the best to you. Halala. Enkosi.
Sawubona. Now, ordinarily, I would have expected a response. It seems like I'm going to have to train students in the future that when somebody says Sawubona, niphinde nithi Sawubona. So, Sawubona. Mangithi Sawubona mina, ngizama ukuthi ngiyakubona ngempela. Sijwayele ukubona abantu nje sithi Sawubona sindlule. And we haven't really seen anybody. So Sawubona very powerfully says, I see you. And in an amazing coincidence of things, Dr. Beg chose to use a similar greeting this morning. And I want to just see in the community that sits with you this morning, the faculty who have done amazing work this year to ensure that we've come to the end of an academic year in the time that we have. It's also a moment to see, and I don't think I've always, sitting in the Dean's office, been aware of just what faculty have done to make sure that the year has happened. And I've been reminded of that when a young child climbs across somebody's computer while we're talking about what we think is an important thing. And I've just begun to realize how much people have given up of the important things to ensure that you've gotten to this place. So yesterday, and you'll see that in the videos that we've shown you, we have spoken to the idea that we want more voices to be heard in this space. And so we recorded the voices that we had, the community people, recent graduates. But yesterday we had a ceremony performed in the courtyard. This faculty is in what the traditional Khoi people speak of as the confluence of the Liesbeek River and the Black River. These are things I've learned in the last couple of weeks trying to prepare for how we make this occasion a special one. And they speak about the Hurikwacha, which is Table Mountain, and Kuwe, which is the earth, as being the source of their healing power in their own tradition. And so we had them on the campus yesterday to perform some kind of cleansing, kind of Thanksgiving celebration for us because of where we've gotten to in this year. But also they marked some of the faculty with the ashes of the Ipepu herb, in a way marking you with the blessing of these people who were here at the beginning. So the original peoples of this place offered you who graduate and leave this space with a particular touch. And I'm hoping this will play now because it only arrived 5 minutes ago. So I'll have to say, I don't know the age restriction on it. I don't know that it's been seen by the censor board yet.
The lifting of the horns ceremony is a convocation with the ancestors.
Apply your knowledge and your wisdom to heal those that's in distress and need healing. The health science faculty, we are relying on you to be a shield over the nation, to protect them with your wisdom, with your knowledge. Give life to the young, secure the health of the old, help those that are in need of your healing, your knowledge. Sida ite la.
Our Father.
Chukwatse. Abotse sida ngaun ite.
Father of our four people.
Abotse taire.
Father, bless the teachers and students.
Si au nga au. In sida taiba ase iba.
So it can strengthen us. Let the name of the ancestors be honored and respected.
Kaisa ngui toho ba.
Please pay attention.
Hangaski ha kasa.
Education is important.
Sao ire.
Protect them.
Kai gangang.
Thank you very much.
Hayesa.
Bless it.
Kai gangang.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And so, colleagues, that begins a journey for us as a faculty of seeing each other in a way that becomes meaningful in who we are. But as I thought of seeing you, I began to reflect on Sawubona, I see you, in the naive young matriculant who traveled to the Cape from far and wide, uncertain of what lay ahead. Sawubona, I see you in your mixed encounters of learning that you have had over these past years. Encounters which filled you with the knowing that was needed, but often brought you much pain before the glory. But encounters which I want you to reflect on have made you more than the sum of the facts you have collected along the way. Sawubona, I see you in this fulfillment of the promises that were started when your parents first named you, when the villages from which you come celebrated that you could learn things quicker than others. Sawubona, I see you as a reflection of who we are as a faculty. These last years have been a storm which have raged against the very foundation of who we are. You have walked through that storm, and now you take your place in that rich tapestry, which is the legacy of this faculty. The 6 years you've been here, particularly as I was reflecting at the beginning of the year when you came back, or in June when you came back, has been marked by a significant other learning experience each year that you've been here, which is not related to the content of the course at all. But Sawubona, I see you who emerge here at the confluence of our legacy as a faculty and our promise as a faculty to make the nation a healthier place. You have become the epitome of our commitment to the people of South Africa. Your promise is about to play itself out in the context of competing pandemics. The ongoing gender-based violence pandemic will soon be a regular part of your work, unfortunately. And many will rely on you to make the encounter with them more important than the frustration you will have with the system. And frustrated you will be. But increasingly we are mindful that it is the individual practitioner that may be the only moment in the system where a patient experiences dignity. And that moment you can control. And that's notwithstanding all of the frustrations which swirl around you. So I want to emphasize this idea that every time you encounter a patient, drunk, irritable, kind, sweet, each of them, just remember a little while that that may be their moment of dignity for the day. In your colleague's piece in the Daily Maverick earlier this year, there was an article by students, Majid, Bowden, Kamua, and Salduka. They wrote a piece on social justice for health professionals. And I thought it was a really important piece. And I thought it raised this issue of our being occupationally conscious. And really what they were arguing about is that in our everyday doings, we must consciously be able to resist and oppose ideas and systems that oppress our communities. Because, colleagues, you have been given an inordinate power as you leave now. In a study I did some time ago, one of the participants spoke about the fact that with this movement out of varsity, you are able to ask an 82-year-old person to strip down to their underwear. Nobody has that kind of power. And so, I haven't watched the videos before today, and I'm quite struck as how power has come through repeatedly. Because in fact, even as we talk transformation in the faculty, we want to understand the power it is that we give health professionals in the lives of our people. But the competing pandemics include the HIV pandemic and today's World AIDS Day. And so as we stand here, we must reflect that moment too. Because in many ways, the way we celebrate AIDS today and HIV is a mark of the journeys through stigmatization and alienation to a moment where we can accept that HIV and AIDS is part of the lexicon that we have learned. Just to give you an idea, I started varsity in 1982. By the time I finished, I think I'd seen 4 patients in the circuit that I had been who were HIV positive. It's part of your daily bread. And that's part of what we need to engage this current pandemic with, because you're emerging from your studies in the face of a pandemic which is changing how we understand ourselves. And it's recognizing that all of the health professions bring completely different perspectives to this pandemic, each of which fundamentally ingrained with the things that we have been taught and the people that we have become over this time. And so it remains, and I said this in a group that I was talking to earlier, when we had a bit of a argy-bargy with the third-year students earlier than this week, and I made the point that you are more likely to get COVID from your social activity than you are from anything that happens to you in the hospital. But nonetheless, I am mindful that I can't imagine going into a workplace with this kind of pandemic raging around us as we're seeing it increasing in this province. So please be mindful that you continue to take care of yourselves so that you can take care of others. But it's a favorite thing of mine to speak about how every moment is a moment captured in our legacies, that exists really at that intersection of our legacies, the things we have done and where we've come from, and where we go, and the promise we make to our world. And so today's oath-taking then marks the translation of the legacy of these health professions from the time of Hippocrates into a promise to the people who you will still encounter in their vulnerability. It does mark a time where we look back to the original oath of Hippocrates and say, what are the things we learn from an age of health professions who knew much less than we do now. But we also use the oath to declare in modern language, in a modern time, what your learning will mean to those you will encounter in their need of care. I hope that even as you make the promise today, you heed the call to acknowledge the moment of dignity that you are for your patients. But importantly, the oath also asks you to reflect, or the original oath certainly did, to reflect on when you need assistance. And the oath calls to you quite powerfully to take care of yourselves. So even as we call you to be more than the sum of your knowledge, acknowledge that you're also less than all of the things you will encounter as you go forward, but that there are people around you who will assist you in walking through those. And so I'm going to invite the entire congregation. Like I said earlier, the staff members are sitting amongst you, because in any of the meetings you will remember that I've addressed you, I've called you colleagues. Because in fact, when you enter the space to learn the health professions, you become a colleague. That you're a different kind of colleague on your emergence now means that we've done our job. But that you should be a different kind of professional in 10 years' time also means that we've done our job at this time. That in 20 years' time you will be much better than our generation of health professionals is also because we did our job appropriately. And so they sit amongst you as that symbol that we're all one thing. We're all a part of the same story. And so I'm going to ask you all to stand for us to take the oath together. And I will ask you to repeat after me as I read. I'm going to ask you that in the beginning, because you'll see that there's no place for your own name. I'm going to say, I, Lionel Green Thompson, and in response, I'm going to ask you to say, I, and declare your name. But also, declare the oath in a manner that, some of you are married, I suppose, hey? When you're committing to the person that you think you're going to love for the whole of your life. I mean, declare the oath like it's something that you're declaring to the people who may not be able to hear you today. I, Lionel Green Thompson, I solemnly pledge to serve humanity. My most important considerations will be the health of patients and the health of their communities. I will not permit considerations of age, gender, race, religion, ethnic origin, sexual orientation, disease, disability, or any other factor to adversely affect the care I give to patients. I will uphold human rights and civil liberties to advance health, even under threat. I will engage patients and colleagues as partners in healthcare. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. I will respect the confidentiality of patients, present and past, living or deceased. I will value research and will be guided in its conduct by the highest ethical standards. I commit myself to lifelong learning. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Give yourself a hand. As you take your seats again, there's a space for you to sign this document. And linger a while as you sign it, and then keep it as a keepsake of this moment. The moment in which you are able to transform a faculty's huge legacy into the promise of changing our world.
Thank you, colleagues, for joining us, for taking this solemn oath today. We wish you strength and courage as you forge the path ahead. May you listen with compassion, walk with humility, and act with justice. Go well. Hamba kakuhle.